Hey guys, it's Steve.
Happy Father's Day, everybody!
All right, we're jumping right into it. Happy Father's Day. I was going to let us introduce ourselves, but happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. This episode is going to be
fathers.
The fathers.
The fathers.
The fathers. We just, became an Italian mafia all of a sudden.
The fathers.
The fathers. So we just want to take a second to wish a happy Father's Day to all of the awesome dads that are out there holding it down for their families. So thank you guys so much. I hope your kids all appreciate you and bring you breakfast in bed and don't burn the house down.
Right. We love you from the bottom of our Crocs.
Oh, God.
Father's Day.
I'm
Only
making that catch
second
on.
to
We love you,
Mother's
fathers.
Day, but not really. All right.
All right.
Awesome. Can't
And on with the show.
Hello.
I didn't even count
Oh,
down.
all right,
yet,
yeah, no,
man.
after you.
Didn't even count
Shibuda.
down yet. You know, there's there
Shabuda.
is a routine. now,
Shibuda has been
okay?
said.
Shibuda has been said. All right. Well, I
The
guess
line has been dropped. Shibuda has been given.
Shabuda is
we're
down
just-
with said.
We're just going. Yep, you're in it now. You're in
Welcome
it.
to being a
Hello
guest
and welcome
Hello,
to Kickin' and Crocs, the
Shibuda.
podcast. We talk about martial arts stuff, geeky stuff, and all sorts of stuff. My name is Steve, one half of Kickin' and Crocs.
I'm Dave, the other half of Kickin' and Crocs.
Nick, still the shadow half of Kickin' and Crocs.
Oh, I gotta take a drink of my tea. We're already going. Okay, so
We have a guest.
have with us another illustrious guest.
Illustrious?
Illustrious.
I don't think that's a
Tea.
word.
It's not
That's
Shibuda.
loaded tea.
This is already wonderful. We're going wonderful. This is wonderful.
all
We have another
downhill
guest
after
with us here
this.
today, another esteemed guest. He is a 5th degree black belt master instructor. He, is also an Army veteran. He was a point sparring champion, I believe, too, as well. He is also a black belt in ishinryu. It is Master Andrew Andreadis.
Master Andrew.
Double A.
MCO.
I was waiting for it. You can't let that one drop.
No, he
Yeah.
said double A. You got to go with MCO.
Yeah, such good advertising. I
It
know.
is.
Welcome, Andrew.
So, welcome
hello.
aboard.
What's going
Just
on?
make sure you
Thank
eat
for-
that microphone.
Yes.
Don't eat. Oh my God.
But it should be almost like chin
Kids,
level.
Don't eat
Yeah.
microphones. Don't eat microphones.
Where are
So,
your where are your
welcome,
hands in
welcome there,
self-defense?
Andrew. How
Thank
are you?
Thank you very much for having me here, guys. And it's pretty cool.
It's been talked about for a while.
It has.
Yeah, we've been talking about this one for a while.
Well, it happened in stages because I had to buy you some Crocs first.
Yes,
That is
yes,
true.
it did. Let's
true.
start with that then. Let's start with that. So, Master Dave,
The introduction.
start us
to-
off. The
to
introduction.
Andrew's Crocs.
To Master Andrew's camo Crocs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought him
See,
Crocs.
if you're watching the
That's
video.
the story. I got.
No. There's more to it than that. You didn't just buy him Crocs.
No,
You bought
actually,
his entire family.
yeah,
Crocs.
I kitted up the Andreadis clan, so to speak.
He did. He Dave really kind of infiltrated my entire family with Crocs. I think it started with Emily.
Yes, it did start with
And
Emily.
it started with Emily.
So-
Got her a pair. And the next thing you know, Dave's texting my son, "What size shoe do you wear?"
Yep.
And then it was James.
Yep.
And then I think I was the coup de grace. I don't think you got Sarah on that bandwagon. at all.
No, she threatened me, so
She does that.
that did not happen.
Yeah.
She's on Kelsey's team.
And Nicole's. I
the
feel like
non-Croc
Nicole's
team?
got
Let's
Crocs,
say Nicole has
but
Crocs though.
won't admit it out loud. I don't even know
Well-
if they're real Crocs. Actually, she might have frocks.
I think that's
Oh,
probably
yeah?
true.
Uh-huh,
Yes.
That makes two of
But
us.
so and it came up because
Crocs.
so your
those
entire
like
Fake Crocs.
Fake Crocs.
Yep.
so your
Yep.
entire family is martial artists for the most part.
Yeah.
Minus your wife.
No, she's actually a previous martial artist herself.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she actually studied for a short time.
Oh,
That is cool.
well, there you
So,
go.
yeah.
I stand corrected.
Particular style? Is it Taekwondo or
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. It was a long time ago.
future note? We'll have to find out.
Yes, we
I like
will,
that.
and we'll have to get into a class.
Yes.
But so
Good luck
with
but
that.
but your daughter's actually teaching now, so she's teaching at the school that I manage, and that's how it came up because I was pushing Crocs on everybody, and I had bought Sensei Lauren a pair of Crocs. I guess in return for her buying me my first pair, and then I was like, oh, I gotta get everybody. Emily, what's your size? And then there
Wait,
we
did
go.
you buy her Crocs? She used to say that you didn't buy her any Crocs.
Wait, did I buy her Crocs?
I don't think you did.
No, you made fun of her
You made fun of
desire.
her
I
for
wearing
definitely
Crocs.
made
We
fun
have
of
a
her.
full
Yeah.
episode of that.
Anyways,
That's right. That's right.
Transition.
So yeah, I guess I didn't buy
And
her
then,
Crocs.
so you loaded up everyone around Andrew
And then,
to
yeah.
get him all comfortable. With
And then
the
I made sure I
concepts.
got him the
Yes,
the camo.
He got me the
camo
camouflage
for the
ones.
Army, yeah.
I have no idea why.
That's my
the
style.
theme.
And yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That.
So you're
First piece of camouflage I ever owned, really.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what? What would be your first piece of camo you think you ever had?
God, that's a tough one.
Like,
First-
was it like when you were young? Did you hunt when you were
probably-
little?
probably
Maybe.
When probably when I was a kid. Camouflage pair of shorts or T-shirt or something like that. Because ever since I was little, there's go back through the old family photo albums. There's pictures of me dressed up as a soldier, like even then as a little kid.
Oh, I was gonna
And,
ask that. Did you always want to enlist?
I did.
I knew you were ROTC in high school.
Yeah, no, it was something, I don't know, something about the military always fascinated me. I guess probably because I come from a military family. My grandfather, both of my grandfathers served. My grandfather on my father's side was fought in the Korean War. He actually won the Silver Star.
Oh,
for going behind.
high honor.
He actually went behind enemy lines. It was a funny story, actually. I was the first person that actually found this out. He was a cook.
Oh,
He was a cook. So
even better.
Behind
here's-
enemy lines?
Here's
It could help. Yeah.
So that's crazy.
So here's the irony. So my grandfather actually jumped ship from the Greek Navy to avoid serving and made it to shore to the U.S. and then ended up joining the army so he could stay in the country. But he
anything.
he was a cook and they were looking for volunteers to go behind enemy lines to rescue POWs, and he went and it was a successful mission. They actually were able to
Oh, that's
rescue
awesome.
POWs, but on the exit on the exfil, a couple of them got caught, and he was actually a POW for some time.
Wow.
But he ended up rescued later, and that's how he ended up getting a Silver Star. So a cook ended up getting one of the highest honors.
Wow.
So it's
That's
kinda,
crazy.
Well, it kind
Cool.
of goes hand in hand with kind of what we talk about. It doesn't really matter where you come from; you're still capable of great things.
Absolutely.
And,
Well,
it's
that's
pretty cool.
So you knew it. You wanted to follow in the family footsteps.
I did. And then my other grandfather was in military intelligence, and
Jeez.
my uncles. So it was something I always kind of was passionate about.
Anybody martial artists other than you in the fam?
No, I don't think. I mean, my father and I studied judo together for a time, but no one else in the family really studied. I mean, some of my cousins dabbled later, but no, I think I really kind of took the reins. My sister and I trained together for a long time. You were saying about how I was a point sparring champion. My sister actually went All-American. She actually won.
Oh wow.
First place. She was first place national champion in sparring and kata.
Woo!
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Yeah. I
Basically,
don't
stand behind your sister. We're having issues. Got it.
know- no, but I remember you were pretty. Weren't you a nationally ranked points
I
baller
was.
down the line somewhere in your youth? So
I
So-
took first place in sparring. I didn't rank first in kata.
much like Nick here, which you've talked about in previous episodes. Obviously, Andrew is a multi-style martial artist. So before you came to Master Paul and us, you were in ishinryu
Correct.
for a while, right?
Yeah, I was actually as young as black belt. When I studied, I came up through the ranks. Karate wasn't nearly as popular for youth as it is today. With it being so much more publicized now, especially when things like kid shows and Ninja Turtles and
Oh, yeah.
Power Rangers really kind of brought a lot of that forward for
Everybody's
everybody.
watching that Ninja Kid stuff too now.
Ninja Kids, we hear a lot about that. But yeah, no, I studied ishinryu, and originally I wasn't even supposed to do karate. It was actually something that my parents kind of settled on. My father wanted me to do boxing, and my mom was like, nope, not having it. So they ended up settling on karate, and I started training. Next thing you know, my whole family trained. My mother trained. My father, my father ended up training. My sister trained, and went up through the ranks. It was very different from what we do.
Yeah. Oh,
It
yeah.
was- it
What's
was
more
much
traditional?
more formal and traditional. There was no ground defense or anything like that, and self defense was vastly different. But that's actually how we spent our summers as kids. We, because we had states, we had regionals, we had nationals, so we'd go all over the U.S. So whatever family vacation we went on was wherever the
Well,
tournament was held that
that's
year.
because you were
way to
you
choose
were a
location,
tournament
at
guy
least.
too.
Yeah, we definitely tournament also.
Yeah,
It
you-
was just part of testing, the skill set.
I
of
mean,
the
yeah.
school.
I mean, you're a
And it was
little
regular
you're a
piece.
little older than Andrew and I.
Not by that much.
Yeah, like 20 years.
I mean,
20, 25?
You were around for the creation of
Andrew's
Ishinryu.
younger than me.
Yeah, but I'm not 20 years older than you. Nice try.
Sorry, 15.
No, but similar and exactly the same as far as the structure of Ishinryu and Goju-ryu versus what we do now. A lot more. I won't say traditionally structured, where it's all heavy forms, deeper stances, a lot of focus on the output of the stance itself, and then how that carries into your self-defense.
Fundamentals,
You know,
a lot of
loads of
fundamentals.
time.
I'm always fascinated by that, though. Like you said, your dad wanted to do boxing. I hear that all the time with like, oh, he's got to box. And boxing's great. I have nothing against boxing, but like,
Until somebody gets a hold of you.
but like, it's two weapons.
Until somebody grabs you.
It's two weapons. Like I have a couple. I have a couple students, adult students that cross train, so they have boxing coaches now. That's great. Boxing's awesome. If I'm gonna box a boxer, I'm gonna get my butt whooped. I've boxed
You're
boxers.
doing a straight up boxing match?
I have boxed boxers, and you get your butt whipped because I'm boxing them, and that's their realm. But like, I'm not gonna box a boxer. I'm gonna kick your legs off.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna keep like this. I'm gonna kick your legs
down.
That's
I
like you
always
said,
find
that's
it
their realm.
interesting, but like it's a sport that uses two limbs.
But I think it's like any activity you're going to do, right? You're going to want to get them in what you're better at, right?
Yeah.
Like a wrestler is not going to want to do kickboxing.
But and I also
right?
understand.
A grappler is not going to try to
And I also understand when people say like, well, boxing's, you know, you're only using two, it's not effective. I get that, but it's like it's also sometimes the love of it absolutely can be. Sometimes it's just the love of the sport too. Like that's your sport. You like to do it.
Called the sweet science
You
for
know,
a reason, you know.
it's your sport. You like to do it.
Definitely a
That's
science.
that's great. You know, same for like Muay Thai, same for like kickboxing, same for like if
I
that's your
grew up,
sport,
actually,
do it.
I grew up watching boxing and
Loved it, yeah.
My grandfather was very big on that, and he has documentary after documentary and books on a lot of the old classic fighters, and it's really the amount of skill and talent that it takes to be good at boxing is it requires a lot of work, but it's just like anything. It's not the style, it's the
guy
person doing it.
Yep.
So if you dedicate yourself to any kind of art or any kind of form or any kind of sport, watching somebody who's good at what they do
It's amazing.
It's like art. It's really kind of beautiful to watch.
And I say it because that's the exact sentiment is like it's not the style, it's the guy doing it. So when I always hear like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, it's like, no, do what you enjoy doing,
Yeah, do what you have
and
fun.
success will follow.
And we've talked about this in prior, right? I have, you know, friends
Do what
that
you
we all
enjoy
get that
doing.
call, right? Hey, I want to do karate, but I'm not near you guys. Where would you suggest I go, or what would you suggest I do? And the answer is you need to feel that it's right for you. Right?
Yeah, you go out and
your
figure out
goal
what you
is
like.
and feel it. But you should go to a place that understands what you want and that it has the environment that's for you. Don't go to a place that's
Well,
just
that's like-
muscling you around or trying to get
Yeah,
a quick
you
buck
find
out
what
of
you like. It's like somebody
You know?
picks up fencing. Are you walking around with swords these days? No, but if you like the activity, it's do it.
Depends,
could-
it depends on
it.
if we have your scissors or not.
Yeah.
Hey, those scissors are
All right,
awesome.
offshoot, random move like we always do. I was in a drawer looking for a rubber band in Dave's drawer, and I look at what looks to be like a sheath sword or decorative knife.
It appears to be a dagger, but it's scissors
Oh,
from
they're
medieval
awesome
times.
looking. They
medieval
are
times.
so intricate looking. I immediately caught my eye. I'm like, this has to be worth money. I'm
It
taking
does.
it.
It
great.
looks like a dagger out of something from like Game of Thrones.
Well, whenever
Exactly.
whenever I go to
Game of
medieval
Crocs.
times, I there's always cool things at medieval times that I want to get. So the last time we went to medieval times, we all dressed up.
That was fun.
A lot of fun.
That was
I mean,
fun.
to do it again
Yes.
because someone wasn't there with us
Yeah,
last
you didn't.
time.
You didn't come with us. We have to do it again too because somebody had a horse allergy.
Yeah, I was outside for the whole time.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You were outside for the whole
helping
time.
out. Yeah.
I offered to switch off, but you wouldn't have.
No, it's
Well,
you
listen,
wouldn't.
good thing she was with all you guys, right? She could have been in
Right.
a worse spot. So that's awesome.
well, that's a terrible time and place to find out you have a horse allergies when you
It's
go to
all horses
medieval
everywhere.
times.
Oh yeah.
And next thing you know, she's breaking out into an allergic reaction, going, I can't breathe.
Yeah.
Never a dull moment. So, Ishinryu, what would be if you think back, like a favorite kata you did back then? Because now obviously it's a whole different suite of minus the first three, which are pretty close to the same in almost every style. What's a kata that always stood out for you? You like to do?
One that always kind of stood out. It wasn't my best kata, but it was always fun to do. Was Seisan, And if Seisan is actually, you can actually see it. It was in one of the Karate Kid movies.
Karate Kid 3.
I think it was the third one.
third one.
When Mr. Miyagi's training Daniel to go, I guess back into he's getting back into the tournament. And they're training right.
Yeah.
And that, ironically enough, that is the kata that my sister did to win the national championships.
Oh, nice.
Did you freak out when you saw it in the Karate Kid
I
3? You're like,
absolutely
oh my
did.
god!
Well, and I believe
Absolutely.
Seisan is like the second stage of Sayuchin, right? So you have Sayuchin, then Seisan. So it's
Sayuchin was that was probably my favorite kata.
I
to
love
do.
Sayuchin.
No, we don't know those. You're looking at me like, oh.
It's fun.
Not our
It's fun.
style.
It's different, but it's really the movement, because it starts off like with your first movements are angle movements right off the bat, and then it has a lot of like, and this is very common for Ishinryu and Goju-Ryu. It has a lot of points where you speed up and quickly slow down
Yeah.
to a concentration piece. Being again the art of the hard and soft movement, so the katas go that.
If you
But
watch,
going back to what we were saying before about when you see somebody who's really good at what they do and how genuinely entertaining it is to watch, that's why I got so excited when karate made it into the Olympics.
Oh, yes.
that's what I was just gonna
man.
say. If you watch the Olympics, you saw those katas.
Oh, my
And
God.
I refer the students all the
So
time. So
fun.
when we're out there on the mat, like
Yeah.
you guys want to see what genuine kata should look like. I go watch it in the Olympics.
Watch
But the
the
problem was it
Olympic
wasn't on
ones.
until like 2:00 in the morning.
You had to watch, and you
Yeah.
had to watch it. You had to watch if you had the app. You
It
could
was
watch
not
it.
televised.
It was very
Yeah,
difficult
it was
to
on
watch.
the app. I was annoyed. I was like, "Oh, come on, man! This is so hard. You had to like get this account,
Well,
and then get the NBC app.
the problem-
and then
But
log
you
into
could pull
this
it,
section.
but I mean, now it got a little easier. I mean, because you could pull it up on things like
now
YouTube.
there are clips.
and-
Yeah, now
Well,
there are
and you
clips
can
out
watch
there.
on the app. The problem that happened with karate, the kata was awesome to watch, was that the point sparring messed it up because you're not allowed excessive contact, right?
And it looked like a
Yeah,
slapping
that
fest.
made a whole.
Well, no,
And it was
that wasn't
also-
wasn't the
No.
problem.
And it also
No.
wasn't
Worse.
point sparring the way that we're accustomed to.
Right,
with-
it was like
with
a
the yame.
continuous-
No, it's
It was-
active point sparring.
It was continuous.
continuous
yeah, it was
contact.
continuous contact.
And so,
But,
for somebody at home trying to watch it, you're like, how are they scoring?
But
this?
what set it off was, I don't know if you watched, like I made a point of watching,
Yeah.
but the controversy was the guy that
this.
took the gold medal was knocked out. That's how he won the gold medal, because the guy that knocked him out got disqualified for excessive
You're not.
contact.
Yes, you're not
so
allowed.
he
to
got
knock
the
people out in
second
point
place
sparring.
medal,
Yep.
and once they got the guy to wake up,
It's like
they
you
gave him
won.
the gold. You won, and that had some of the more hardcore, like even Taekwondo in the Olympics has knockouts. You're allowed to knock out in Taekwondo. You're not allowed to in karate. It's against the etiquette. So the gold place, the
Went to a
gold, the
guy that
gold,
got
the
knocked
gold,
out.
the gold medal finisher.
It
Had
was
to be,
it was a dream win.
Oh,
he
you got
had to
knocked
be
out. Here's your gold medal.
right. He had to be revived, and then they gave him the gold medal.
Dude, I had this
so
weird dream. I dreamt that I got given the gold medal. Oh no! Dude,
So it
shut
let-
that was
it-
Bobbing
real.
and weaving.
that was like it left a bad taste
At that point,
for like.
you just block with your face the entire time for the
Oh,
gold.
Well,
yeah,
it left a
exactly.
bad taste in the mouth for like, because you also have judo, which is pretty like
Right, for people who don't understand.
hard.
Judo is so much fun to watch.
But it's like it's hard combat.
yeah.
And then wrestling, just Greco-Roman wrestling, is hard combat.
I love watching
Even
all
though I
the
don't like
combat
watching
sports in the
Taekwondo because
Olympics.
their hands are stupidly down the whole time. They're hitting hard, and then you had karate make its debut, and then this guy gets knocked out and wins, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, way to
Yeah,
completely.
anyone that
burn
doesn't
it
know
up.
the rules hardcore, like, or understands that, they were upset, and the internet blew up about it.
Yeah, they blew up about it.
Unfortunately, it was a bad light, and I was like, "Oh, this is not the
But
publicity."
the kata
we
was
wanted
the
for
kata was excellent, and then the women's
amazing.
division
Sharp.
sparring was awesome, and
I
it
saw
was good.
Basai a couple of times.
Yeah, even when we were kids.
Well, Basai Dai. I don't know if they did traditional
Basai Dai.
Yeah, it was a different style of it, but still, I was like, "Ooh."
It's very similar. Dave catches me messing up once in a while.
Basai Dai.
I'll switch in between the two. I'm like, oh, that's not this
Well,
one.
there's actually a variation of that with weapons called Basadai Sai.
I haven't done that one.
And
yeah.
that
With the sai?
yeah,
Yes.
my,
There you
well,
go.
Yes,
my
but I
old,
haven't
my
done
old
it.
instructor
Perfect.
Shihan Kim, he used to actually perform that, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I had some sort of video or recording of that just to watch him do it again, because it was really
That's
really
that's
fun.
one of the benefits of like modern times, is that you can look at so much martial arts now online.
It's cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there's so many different
Oh,
resources.
you can see so much, which is why these kids, if they work hard and they use those tools, you get so good.
And we talk about it too, which is it's funny, right? When I perform kata, I can't get through 3 of them without like breaking in a full sweat. Like I'm
Oh, yeah.
Right.
sweating. So I'll say it to the kids. I'm like, if you feel too relaxed after doing your forms, you probably need to go back and do them again because you're just not in the right physical
Right.
Well, there's-
station to
There's a
be
lot of
performing
debate.
that.
There's a lot of debate on schools that want to do away with kata, and some people, I understand certain points that are made for it. I disagree. I don't think you should do away with kata because if it's done properly, it's supposed to give you the foundations for your self-defense. It's supposed to give you your foundations for your one step and your sparring. It's what conditions your body to be able to do what it is that we do.
Yeah, I just had this conversation with Master Beams, Carl.
Yes.
We were talking about it because obviously he just bought his school and he's
Doing some changes,
Congratulations.
making some changes. Yeah,
but
congratulations,
he won't get rid of
Carl
kata
Beans.
either.
That's Carl Beans.
But like my viewpoints on kata have shifted over the years. So when I was younger, it was very much like, oh, it's all the hidden movements are in there, and there are absolutely bunkai within the kata. 100% there's hidden movements, but more I find that it gives you coordination in your body. It gives you that idea of the tensing the muscle and relaxing the muscle, which is hugely beneficial when you're talking fitness. And you just there's the unity in how you do it with your body, moving parts in the same time, and it just gives you something that you don't get.
Well, I think where you're going at,
Otherwise-
Dave, right, is it forces that control factor of what you do, right? How often do we
Absolutely.
say you're in more danger with a white belt than a black belt?
Oh, yeah.
Not because they are better trained, but because they have less control over the outcome of what's happening, right? A well-trained martial artist will not hurt you because they can control themselves to not.
I mean,
where
I
an
still
undertrained
love
so
kata.
helps you build out.
I'll never get rid of kata. I still love kata.
Which is funny. I couldn't when I was younger. I hated kata. I thought it was the most boring thing. But as I got older, I fell in love with it. It actually became one of my favorite parts of training.
Start appreciating it differently, right? Yeah.
Absolutely,
That's so
absolutely.
cool.
So,
But you can see when people
Yeah.
don't do kata, sometimes when you try and teach them something, their coordination is not great.
Yeah, the
I
kata
totally
definitely helps
agree.
with that.
Yeah, and I've seen it, right? Because I have family members that study in different arts. They do really well what they do, but they don't have fixed kata until much later, or they don't have it at all, right? So they'll do form combinations, and I feel like when you jump just into, I'm not talking about like boxing, but it's just a series of forms. It looks random and off-putting, and they even gonna get confused by it until they start having to really think about it in somewhat of a long form, 20 or 30 moves or more, where you have to kind of like get your mind.
Also, it's
in the right
great
spot
for
to
your
do it.
memory. It's
It
great
comes
for
out
your,
better. Oh, totally agree.
when you get these kids memorizing these patterns.
Yeah.
It's good. It tests the mind.
And they build their own. It's nice.
and there's so many benefits to it. I mean, it teaches patience. It teaches discipline. It teaches focus. It really having to master those basics and those small, tiny details of a technique. If you can't apply that in something like kata, how are you ever going to possibly have the discipline to apply it to something like self-defense? It simply, throwing a punch in a kata and aiming, having proper, wrist
Alignment with the
alignment
wrist
and
and
knuckles forward and the bend in the elbow and doing that repetitively again.
And that's also
again
something
and again.
kids miss early on and then eventually get.
Right,
'Cause-
even to the point of aiming your punch,
Like-
where you see a beginner when they throw their punch out here. Where's that? No, it's got to
But
be
that's
here.
also something. That was the way you're taught in traditional martial arts to line up the knuckles. You point it out, line up the stack it behind.
Yep.
That's actually something that's been catching on in other combat sports where maybe they didn't concentrate on it, like in boxing. That's been a thing now where they start to learn to line it up because usually your hand is
Well, how many
wrapped.
times are you losing that ring knuckle?
Well, usually it's wrapped and it's in a glove, so you don't really concentrate on that. Stacking it behind the wrist, and so now that they're starting to do it, you're getting more success.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
know
interesting.
two guys that have lost their ring knuckle from hitting inappropriately.
catching
You
the-
catch
yeah.
it, and the knuckle goes right up in the hand. I mean, it's
That's Lindsay has that, but
not
from
for
a- not
different
from
reasons.
punching,
Yeah. No, yeah. One of my cousins has it, and for that reason, it happens. It's just you have to
Cousins in
everything
Italy?
you do. No.
no.
My cousin, my uncle in Italy, God rest his soul. Now he had passed away, but he was a heck of a fighter. But it was a straight street fighting. Like he wasn't trained
Italian
in any way.
street fighting.
Well, in
he wasn't
Italy,
trained.
they don't fight. They just hit each other with wooden spoons.
Yeah.
Hey.
Usually, and
Baseball bats.
distance attacks are just Blobs
You
of
call
pasta.
this gravy? No.
Just loads of pasta. Yeah, exactly. It's not gravy. There's no gravy in Italy. Nobody knows what you're talking
gravy
about.
in Italy.
It doesn't exist.
North Jersey. It's a Jersey
North Jersey
Italian
thing,
thing.
it really
It's a
is.
U.S.
Hey,
Italian
it's a
thing,
Jersey
'cause
Italian. It's a
the
Jersey
Northeast.
Italian thing.
Well, no, because Staten Island, Brooklyn, they do the same thing.
Yeah,
They say
well,
gravy. They're also wrong, but they say gravy.
It's both. It's a New Jersey, New York kind of like.
Gravy is a juice
We're
that
very
comes from
specific.
meat or is used with meat. It
We're
is
very-
not sauce.
That's
We
We're
went
very
from cotta
specific.
to Italian slang.
We're a very
Welcome to the
specific type of
podcast.
Italian.
Go
The-
from
the-
one topic to another
That's cool.
like that.
That's good.
We're very we're not Italian. We're Jersey and New York Italian.
Which is-
totally
God
different
bless.
type of
God
Italian.
bless. Okay.
Actually, my wife, because she's all into linguistics.
Did she also correct you?
No, she sent an article, a fascinating article that was breaking down why Jersey, Brooklyn, why they speak
The way they do.
the way they do, like mozzarella, which is
Why they cut off a lot of the vowels at the end.
right,
They do
which
that,
is
yeah.
mozzarella. If you
Yeah,
talk to
it's
anybody,
mozzarella, not mozzarella.
Right.
Manigot instead of manigotti.
right.
Or manigati.
Or,
yeah. They just cut off the ends of the actual
regot.
words.
Regat instead
I don't
of
know
regatta.
why.
Right. But there was an article, and there's actually a breakdown of why it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it had to do with like where they came from in the region, and then when they got. But it's a good article. I'll have to send it to you.
You know, it's funny because my wife's family is, Brooklyn, Staten Island. So having met them, right, you hear all those phrases and they'll come and they'll talk to me in their version of Italian,
And you're
which
like,
I'll
no.
call it Italian.
No.
Right? I was like, no, none of that's correct at all, but it's okay. And there's a couple of them that can speak, right?
I mean, I guess-
And I don't
yeah.
speak fluently anymore either, so it's a challenge for me.
Well, we got the
You know.
Italian, we got the Greek.
Nice.
I'm more Italian than anything, but Bex,
Yeah.
Italian.
Da?
No, I
No, he
said
said Italian.
Did you?
Yeah, he did.
That didn't come in.
He was scratching his beard.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very Italian,
Italian,
move.
though.
That's a very Italian
I
move.
got quite the mix. I got Italian, Irish, and Scottish.
As well as
And,
the Greek, yeah.
Yeah, or not Italian. I'm sorry. I said Greek.
Greek. I was like, you're Greek.
Greek, Irish, and Scott. So
Scotland.
yeah,
Aren't you a lord?
He
I
is.
am. I
Correct
am.
me
He
if
is.
I'm
I was-
wrong.
I
Are
was
you a
about to bring that
lord?
up. I was like, finally, we made it to a proper transition to this.
You are a
You
lord.
are a official
I am
lord
official
in
lord.
Scotland.
I am a lord in Scotland. I am.
Yeah,
I actually
100%.
own a plot of land.
He owns a 1 square foot
I
plot of
do.
land.
I
I
believe
do.
it.
I have the certificate at home to prove it.
Yep. For some
He's a
reason, I
lord.
don't
He
know
got
why
Alex
Scotland decided
involved
this
in
was
it.
a good idea. But
Yeah,
they
it's
decided
pretty-
that for birthday presents for some people, you can literally buy a square foot of land. And in Scotland, if you own land,
You are a lord.
It's mine.
so he's Lord Andrew.
Lord, is
Lord-
it Master Lord or Lord
Master
Master?
Lord Andrew.
I think the master came first, so Master Lord.
Lord Master.
Which is funny because for those of you watching at home, we were talking about medieval times and saying how we dressed up for said medieval times trip. I actually invested in a camouflage kilt.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right, I
I
forgot
Now,
about
is that one of those? Because they make
Nice.
racing kilts, like kilts you can work out in, and
Why is it always got to be about racing?
no, I'm just saying they make racing kilts. Ones you can work
Those
out
are
in.
running.
one
With
you
David's
can-
always running
Listen,
somewhere.
nobody was running anywhere in this thing.
No.
breezy. It's breezy.
It was kind of comfortable. I'm
We'll
not gonna
get you.
lie.
We'll get you a workout kilt. They make workout
See,
kilts, man.
yeah, it's true they do. But this time when we go to medieval times, we all gonna be wearing our Crocs. We can
Yes.
take like a group photo of us kicking in Crocs. If we can get
Croc
other
evil
people,
times.
a Croc evil, and we can like, ooh, don't they give us? They give like shout outs and stuff like
They
that.
do.
They
right?
do.
You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
come
You have
with
to
your
ask for
plan.
the
We can
shout
give
out.
like a shout out.
The Kickin in
For
Crocs.
kicking in Crocs crew.
There we go.
The Croc Clan.
The
Yes.
Crocs.
Clan Crocs.
Clan Croc from
My
House
night
Croc.
never wins, though.
What's up?
My night never wins.
Hey,
I'll
listen.
tell you, the last
we
one
were the
time-
Red
Minded.
Knight.
One
Listen,
time
we
as a
didn't-
kid, it
yeah.
won. One time.
I was there a couple times when my Knight won, but we were there as the Red Knight. So in this storyline, the Red Knight was the bad guy. Oh, our group had fun with that. Our
Oh,
group
yeah,
had a
we played it
good
up.
Time with that. There was a
Nice.
moment where like the Red Knight was gonna go and off with his head one of his
Own-
opponents, and the Queen stopped him. And then appealed to the masses, like, do we want to see this type of bloodshed? And our whole section was like, yeah!
And then she said something. We were like, down with the
Down with
queen.
the Queen! Down with the Queen!
We were chanting, down with the
Down
queen.
with the Queen! Down with the Queen!
Leave
was
it
hysterical.
to our
Oh, yeah.
to
Oh,
start
man.
a coup in the middle of.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
yeah, just innocent children looking at us like this can't be real.
Rebel! Rebel!
Girl
No,
Scouts
you
are
go to the
crying.
later
Yeah,
show.
exactly.
There's less
Oh,
children
that's
at the later
right.
show. Have
the
you?
Green Knight, which was right across from the Red Knight, they had a Girl Scout troop there.
Have you?
And
Have
we
you?
were yelling.
Have you taken?
Kill him!
Have your kids made the trip to medieval times yet? Have they?
Yeah. No, they. James hasn't yet, but Adam and Emily have.
Oh, James would
We gotta
love
do this like
that.
a dojo
James would
family
have
trip.
Yeah, I think he would have. He would have a good
James
time.
would love that. That's got to
Emily-
be a
I
4th of
think
July
Emily-
week trip.
Emily went once with the Girl Scouts.
definitely.
Adam.
Okay.
I forget where Adam went for, but
That's got to be like a 4th of July, like
When we have
the
off from the
school's
school,
closed.
right?
Everybody load up. Let's go to
Yeah.
medieval times.
that's so
Absolutely.
much fun.
Load them
is.
up.
It's such a good
And then
time.
Nick has to come with his family too this time. Nick has to.
That's
be there
fine.
for
We've
this.
been a couple times already, and we love going.
Oh
so
come
it's no
on, man!
problem.
You haven't been with us though.
No, not with you guys, but I'm saying.
love that they
Like I
give you-
said, we went.
I like the
Ooh.
chicken and the
I'd like
dragon
that they
soup.
give you garlic bread.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yes.
Medieval
You
times.
actually
The
eat
food
really
there is
well
awesome.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
food there is
no,
great.
they do a great
So
job.
I had an idea. Remember my idea for the? I shouldn't say it in there. Somebody might steal it. Remember my brilliant restaurant idea?
You know what? We can. What do you think? Should we say it? Did we just say it?
Say it. You don't know what he's talking about.
Many
I
years.
have
He,
no idea
I
what
do.
you're talking about.
he
know
knows
what
what I'm talking about because I told him.
He's
about
told
it.
me about it.
So the idea
It's
would
a
be
genius idea.
It's genius. I just need backers and money.
He's money.
And someone that can actually do it.
We do not
So
have the financial.
so
for this.
like a feudal time Japan. So you do it like medieval times. You do it with samurai and ninja, right? And you get real trained martial artists that can actually put
it's
on
like
real
Japanese food,
choreographed
Chinese food,
scenes.
Asian food there.
And you do
Yep.
Asian cuisine. You know, you
Yep.
can have sushi's huge. So you can have, but you do like a whole. You can do a whole storyline with samurai and ninja and
The
like
Emperor.
an
The
actual
challenge, though-
martial
I've had
arts
this
battle.
idea for a while
Yes.
because
Long time.
you brought this up to me.
long
I
time
remember
ago.
when we went out with John Churchill.
Yeah,
And we
long
were talking
time
about it
ago.
then.
It's brilliant.
That's a pretty cool idea.
because you could have legit martial artists moving it like
Yeah.
The things keeping in mind, though, right? So what makes medieval times successful is the simplicity of their menu, right? The menu isn't a big menu. It's
Well, like you
it's
said,
3 things. You're getting what they
sushi.
give you.
You like
But,
sushi.
Yeah, but you have
No,
to.
but
How much of an audience are you going to capture with that versus?
well,
something
that's what
very
you can get that in the
stable like
lobby at the early, beforehand.
Yeah,
How much
yeah.
of an audience? You know how many people eat sushi now?
Oh, it's a lot.
chicken.
You know how many
Yeah,
kids eat
decent
sushi
amount.
now?
It's a lot.
oh God, yeah.
It's a lot of. I had sushi for dinner this one night. I was like, oh, that's cool. I hate sushi, but okay.
That's like
But
shelter.
that's what I'm saying. That you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
one
The
or other.
Muranos. Oh my god.
They love it.
Always
Apparently
say
they're-
that.
they're-
Yeah,
they're big sushi
sushi.
There's, I mean, I know so many kids that eat sushi, but
When you went
Which I
to,
think
what
is
was the-
awesome. I mean, that's.
Oh yeah,
are you a sushi fan?
I am.
me too. I love it.
Oh.
I'm not. I don't have a very large, I guess, palate for sushi, but it's actually some of the rare seafood I actually eat.
What was
so
the,
I'm not
what
a
was the
big-
first food when you got back? So obviously, we should have mentioned too that. Did we mention that Master Andrew's also a military
Yes,
guy?
but
We
you
did in
didn't
the
say
beginning,
his experience, right?
Yeah, so you served a couple times overseas, like two
Good
tours.
times,
What was the go-to when you got home and
When you
like
got home, what's the
you're
first
free?
food
What
you're
was the
looking for?
food?
Oh God.
Yeah,
man.
you knew where I was going. What was like? What were you craving?
Yeah.
You got home, time to eat. What are you getting?
Oh man. I probably would have killed somebody for a good decent slice of pizza.
Yes.
I'll tell you that right now.
Yes.
So yeah, it's because food over there is little different. Obviously, you have either your military food that your MREs and stuff they
Rations,
eat.
yeah.
If you're on a base or something that's substantiated, they would have a mess hall, so you would actually get decent food, and they would go out of their way, especially on like holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving, which is hard enough over there. But occasionally we'd get a chance to eat on like the local diet.
nice.
We'd actually get to go to some of the local restaurants, so we would get fresh chicken.
Oh.
And like fresh rotisserie chickens.
That must have been nice.
And falafel
Nice little
and
change,
stuff like
right?
that. Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
And let me tell you something. Nothing touches true, genuine chai tea. Like
Oh yeah,
real,
yeah.
authentic.
I've heard
it was
that's
the
pretty
most
good.
delicious stuff. But yeah, when I got home, like we would actually have full blown conversations about that. Like we'd be sitting around when we get our downtime. We'd talk about, you know, what food we missed the most. And it was fun, but it was torturous at the same time because you would just get so hungry.
You know, you're not getting it right away. Yeah.
But you know, just a good decent cheeseburger. But I mean, when you get on the bases, so where we were actually out in the towns. We weren't necessarily always on a base. We would be out in some outpost somewhere. When you got to the actual bases, they would have, you know, the USO would be there, and more towards the spots that weren't so dangerous. They would have things like a Burger King. They would have things like a Pizza Hut, but not necessarily where we were. Those would be more back in like Kuwait, where things were in hostile.
A little safer.
So you'd get a little taste of stuff like that when you were either on your way home or whatnot. But we'd have full conversations about the food that we
I
missed.
feel like that's
burgers
a
and
common
this and that.
common thing people do when they're in stressful situations is talk about the food that they're gonna eat.
Food is without a doubt, right, the universal language.
It happens every time we're in a Spartan
It
race.
is. Like,
if
it
we're doing
says things to people.
if we're doing a
right?
13
Taste,
miler,
smells,
The beast.
does.
If
we're doing like a
beast,
13 miler, like a
we
beast,
get
and
to
it's
a point
when it's
during the
pouring
race,
rain.
We're like, so what are we eating after this? Where are we
Right,
going?
suddenly, and it's not just us; it's everybody in the course is like, "Oh, I can't wait to get this afterwards." It's like it just seems like something human beings do when like
When you're
things
really
seem
hungry,
down.
yeah.
Well, why do you think like
Well,
the
certain
most
things-
visited room in your house is what, Andrew?
The kitchen. That's if you go to anybody's party or anybody's house, everybody always gathers in the
Oh,
kitchen.
that was my 40th birthday. What we did here. I've never seen that
Everybody
many
was hanging
people.
out in the kitchen.
I have this
Like,
big family.
I
room.
have
There
more
was-
The
house.
whole family
This is the big
room.
family room that we're in right now.
But
And
it's true,
everybody.
people hanging
nothing
out
nothing
in
brings.
I had
nothing brings
20 people
together like
around that
no,
island.
true.
It's so true.
and yeah, absolutely. It's
Which is why my birthday party will be outside.
There was 20 people around that island.
But what was funny is you actually made it a point to be like, "There's more to the house."
We
You guys
eventually
can
went
go
outside and
other
threw some
places."
spears, but-
No, I know, but it was again
casual
the
sentence.
kitchen, the food
right before,
is
right
where
before the
food
lightning
is.
storm.
Oh yeah, right before the we talked about that in the podcast too. All the
Yeah,
tornadoes
right
and
before the
tornadoes that
lightning
happened on his
storm.
birthday
That
party.
was insane.
Yep. And then we
That
all
was
sat,
we left just before that happened.
Were you driving when it happened? Did
you- you got caught in all that hail?
So we
Oh.
had just pulled into the driveway, and we saw on the way home, the sky looked like something straight out of Stranger Things. And so when we got home, man, and it just started going off, and it was hitting so loud, like the kids were getting scared. Like we should probably go in the basement. Like we should go in the basement. Like we're okay, guys. It's all right. But it got nasty. I remember that.
Well, you know what's funny? You think about it. So that happened. Then you have the Canada fires. Like it has been a year.
Oh, yeah.
Did
of
you just get like free
experiences
hailstorm on
this
Wednesday?
year.
We had
Out of
some hail
nowhere?
on Wednesday, yeah.
They were big pieces of hail.
Yeah, they
too.
were. They were
I
bouncing
didn't
to
have
the
any.
school.
I was at the front desk when that started
Yeah.
coming down.
Not in
Big
hell.
pieces of hail.
Those pieces
Not
were
northern
coming
hell.
down. They were like the size
So,
of dimes.
so you didn't get
They-
anything
they
in
were
hell,
coming
down.
but we
At
had
all.
it. So when it started pouring
Ooh.
and it started hailing, one of the kids opened the door to come into class, and there were pellets of hail coming in, and we're like, "Whoa!" Yeah, we got it.
I was like, it's June.
See, but Silverton has like its own ecosystem.
Yep.
It's for some it could be sunny skies.
Well, that.
in Brick or in Tom's River, but in Silverton it will be like torrential downpour. I
But
don't
we
know how
did get that
works.
downpour too. But we also had the weird sky with the fire and the smoke that we talked about
That
last
was rough.
week. And
Yeah.
it's just we live in
Talked
weird
about that
times.
last week.
Well, it was it's certain parts of Silverton, right? I mean, Brick too, but in Silver, you guys get a lot of like you have sub water level housings right on the edge that get. 'Cause I have a friend that used to live out there, and like every other year, the whole block was cut. You can ride a boat through there.
What was the
Wow.
craziest weather overseas? Did you ever get hail or?
Oh yeah, what kind of weather did you guys deal with there?
Sandstorms were probably the biggest. They were probably one of the biggest threats. I was there when it actually rained in Iraq. That was interesting. But sandstorms are awful. We used to have days, they'd call them red days, where it looked exactly like it did when it was smoky from all the fires from Canada. But it would get so bad you couldn't see, like you really couldn't see from here to your wall.
You had like sunglasses, goggles. You have like some kind of protection.
You'd have goggles that they would wear. They almost look like kind of like ski goggles.
Yeah.
To protect your eyes. A lot of guys, if they didn't have that, they had acceptable sunglasses and stuff that you could wear that would protect your eyes. Like Oakley's were always okay.
Right.
Because they're pretty close to the eye, like the frame.
Because they wrap around your face.
Yeah.
But you needed something that was ballistic, so things that would protect your eyes. And we always had either balaclavas or something to kind of wrap and kind of protect you. Now, in the first time I went in '03, we didn't have a lot of that gear, and so we drove into Iraq from Kuwait. So we're driving, and my job at that year, I was a gunner, so I was sitting up in the turret, so which was nothing. It's nothing but a hole in the top of the Humvee, sitting on, which is like a ratchet strap, and
Oh, you just had a strap.
that's all you sit on. Yeah. So what a lot of guys would do is they would take we have PT mats, and they would actually roll up their PT mats and put it around the strap
Like
to
a
actually
horrible
give you a
bike
little bit
ride.
of cushion. It was like an absolutely terrible bike ride, and you're driving the entire way. We're just getting sand and stuff, kind of pounding in your face. So yeah, after everything kind of all settles and you get back home, you start coughing up sand and coming out of your sinuses. But it's just kind of part of being there. But yeah, probably the wildest was the sandstorms. But one of the coolest natural things was on the nights when the sky was clear. So we were all issued NVGs, night vision goggles. And it was really cool on a clear night. You would wear your night vision goggles. You could look up and you could see every single star in the sky with your night vision goggles.
Crazy.
It was the coolest thing because it filters out all the light pollution. So you could just see stars forever. It was as bright up in the sky as if somebody turned on
Oh, that's awesome.
light.
Wow.
And it was really, really cool. And some of the sunsets were some of the most beautiful things you'd ever seen. Watching the sunset in the desert is kind of a one of a kind thing. And so there's a lot of really neat stuff to remember that way.
You
So
wish that those places were more visitable.
Well, you know
can't
what's
really.
well, ironically
True.
enough, this year is the 20-year anniversary since my first deployment.
Oh, is it?
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to going to see my guys at the end of next
Oh, that's
month.
right. You're doing a reunion.
Yeah, there's a
your-
reunion
with
happening
your-
this year.
We do it every
Crew.
year, but this year's the big one because this
Yeah,
is
it's
20 years.
20 years. Wow. It's
Which
been
way?
that long.
I can't believe it's been that long.
Jeez.
That's
I remember when you shipped off the first time.
yeah, it was a crazy time, but and the dojo, man, I going through all my old stuff at my mom's house, in my old room were the boxes that my mom set up at the
At the
karate
school. Yeah, people would drop letters
And-
and stuff in.
In 2003, you couldn't write anybody an email
No.
to check over there
yeah,
because
that's
there was
true.
no
It was all letter
computer
letters.
access or anything
But
like
the
that.
letters are
So
awesome.
it was all hard copy mail. So the students would write, and the one time I'll never forget it was my mom would come in once a week to come pick up the mail and send it out to me, and the box had like one or two letters in it. Master Paul went ballistic, like on the school, like going down like or Sensei. I was Sensei Andrew at the time. Sensei Andrew's over there, and you guys didn't write him any letters. My mom told me the story all
That's
about
amazing.
it, and yeah, it was
I
crazy.
didn't, when I
I still
joined-
have all those letters saved.
When I joined, you
Every
were
single
away
one.
already. I hadn't met you before you left. I met you, I think, in between the two tours.
Well, you went pretty close because I was in college. I think your first tour, because we graduated obviously together, separate schools, but we knew each other through the martial arts, same age. And you graduated. I went to college. You enlisted.
When was your second? Because I met Master Paul, I think it was 04.
My first tour was in 03 to 04. My second tour was 08 to 09.
Okay, so then I met you in between, yeah. Because I was there 04. You were away already. But he had told me, he had told me, who you were. Again, I hadn't trained with him yet. We were
Well,
business
I was
associates
off
at
in
the time.
college too when you first.
Yeah, I didn't meet you until I think 2 years in.
Yeah.
2 years in.
Yeah.
And then I think I kind of met you guys almost at the same time. Like you came
Yeah,
in. then you
probably,
came in,
yeah.
like back to back before
Yeah,
you
the
left
first
again.
the first time I was 19. I was 19 when I went over the first time. But it was great. We knew we were going to go somewhere. I mean,
Yeah.
it really wasn't because I mean, my enlistment was during 9/11.
9/11.
I mean,
Yeah, actually, we should probably
There
talk about that for a
was-
second. Like,
Oh, that's
literally, you were in the process of enlisting
so
on 9/11.
the way the story went was I signed up. I enlisted in the military March 8th of 2001. So I was still in high school as a senior. Got to enjoy I went through my senior year. I was on what they called the delayed entry program. So I did my whole senior year, got to enjoy my whole senior summer. And then come September, the recruiter came to my house, picked me up, took me down to Fort Dix, and there's a hotel that's nearby. So I stayed overnight there. And the next day took me to the base itself, and I swore in, and I was supposed to be on a plane to basic training. That day just so happened to be September 11th, 2001. So
That's crazy.
I had just gotten done with my paperwork. I had just taken my oath, and pretty much I was waiting around in the common room for them to take me to the tarmac so I could be on my merry way. And next thing you know, we see the news on. First plane gets hit, and everybody's kind of in shock, like, wow, man, plane just kind of flew into the towers. And then the second one hit. And then so you got to remember, I'm on a military base.
Yeah. It's going to go crazy.
So you had everything from new enlistees to privates up to captains and majors all in the common room just staring at this screen, watching this go down. And then next thing you know, it just got really loud, really fast, and the entire base locked down like that.
Yeah.
And they ended up sending everyone, the recruits at least, they sent us all home. And they didn't at that point.
Somewhat a smart move, I think.
Well, nobody was shipping out that day. We sat around.
No way you're flying.
Well, we were there for hours.
Yeah, let's get our arms around what's happening.
The base locked down. Next thing you know, you had Humvees fully locked and loaded, watching every entrance because nobody knew what was going on. At the time.
Of course not. Nobody had idea.
The Pentagon had just gotten hit, and there were still planes in the air, so nobody knew what to expect. And guys were actually fist fighting, trying to call home because our families all thought we were in the air.
Right.
So they ended up sending us all home, and they didn't really expect that everyone was going to come back because at that point
you knew you were going somewhere.
Well, not necessarily, because at that point we hadn't really seen a conflict since really Desert Storm.
Yeah.
And so people were at that point were just really, they would sign up for the reserves for some college money, do a couple years, be proud of what they did, which was great. You still do your part, but now we just got hit.
Like
the biggest
action's
attack
coming.
since Pearl Harbor,
Right.
And now we knew we were going somewhere. My military class was the first ones to graduate after 9/11. Our drill sergeants told it like you're going somewhere. So, but to their credit, everyone that was there that day that they sent home, every single one came back.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
They
that's
came
really
back
cool.
next week, and but I'll tell you what, if there's one thing that I miss out of that time, it was September 12th.
Oh yeah, when everybody,
Just the
nation was a whole.
Everybody was on the same page.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody came together. Everybody was just looking out for each other.
Common cause.
And it was no big thing for people just to turn, go, how you doing?
Oh
How
yeah,
you doing? You okay? And
different days.
It's really crazy that
I think
it takes that
I think we need that
level.
again
Yes.
without the
Without
reason of what
the-
caused
yes.
it. I think we need that. That's
what's
the
amazing is
last
that's-
time I remember this country being together so much.
And that's
like
our
that,
that's our generations. Everybody
good
knows
point, Andrew.
where, like, everybody can tell you where they were on 9/11. At least our generation. You were still,
I was in preschool.
yeah. So you were, yeah.
He's like, I was aggressively getting the square into that peg
You
thing.
were, but
Yep,
like,
I was. I
I
was
was-
trying my best.
I could tell you
Still
that
don't get
I
it.
watched
Nope.
from the deck of my college. You could see, because I was in Montclair, which is right across from
Yeah,
New York.
that's close
So
to New York.
we literally, the first point we watched on TV, and then we went running up to the deck, and you saw the second point, and you're like, oh, because you could see the skyline. You could see New
So
York City
Nicole,
skyline.
my wife at the time, worked for the military as an auditor. She was a civilian employee.
But she worked on
was-
base, right?
She was at the Pentagon
Oh.
in the room that got hit 15 minutes before it got hit.
Oh my God.
She had left with her manager
didn't know
and
that.
4 other people to get
I didn't know she was at the
documentation.
Pentagon. She was at the-
at the Pentagon in the
is
room
scary.
of
My old friend Ken's mom was at the Pentagon.
she has
crazy.
a
When that
dedicated
happened.
flag they sent over
That's
to her, and
insane.
she knew
Wow.
some of the people.
Really? I didn't know she was. So she was in the room that got hit.
Yeah. So we had thought like because there was no phone communications, right? We had
Right.
thought
Everything
that
was down.
She was lost. We didn't know. I knew she was at the Pentagon that day because she would go once every 6 months. So that happened to be the time she had to be down there.
Oh, I had no idea this story.
Oh yeah.
man?
So then,
What?
so then much later on, right? It was a very intense day, obviously
Of
for
course.
everybody. But later, fast forward to now, you ask her about it, and it's better to talk to her now. She can talk about it. She couldn't for quite some time, but now she can.
I had no idea. Yeah.
And she says you didn't even know, like you didn't hear it. Like the Pentagon, as you know, it's massive, and it's while it's a office facility, it's still a government facility, so it's pretty locked down. So when the hit happened, she says the only reason you even knew is because lights went on and people started running. So she's like, "What's happening right now?" And so were her coworkers, and people are like passing out on the streets, running away from the direction where she was just there.
Yeah, like I was just there.
It's
What
like,
just
what's
happened?
going on? And she had, she says, she goes, "I don't know if anyone knew this was going to happen or something was going to happen." She said, but it did seem like, looking back at it now, there were extra canine security. I think they had a clue that something might be happening somewhere, because she goes, but that's so often, like, you never know.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's looking back with a
that you
lens of
couldn't-
like,
yeah, like, you know what I mean? Now a lens, but she goes, it was intense, right? Because you have to get out of the area. There was no cell phone reception at that point in time for you to get a hold of anybody. You had to get to what they had, like fixed secure spots that you try to get off to.
crazy.
It was intense. We didn't talk to her. I think it was like 3 hours. So
I would have been losing my mind.
I
Yeah.
was
would've been
in
losing my
Edison,
mind.
Yep.
and I was at an old job that I had, and people started praying, and my dad was calling me because from our house in Atlantic Highlands, he can see across.
Oh yeah,
the
Atlantic
city.
Highlands, you could absolutely
So he saw
see.
the second plane go
Yep.
in as well, and we're on the phone, the radio's on. And he's like, yeah, a plane just hit. The same scenario, Andrew. Are you talking about? And then all of a sudden he goes, Nick, another one hit. I need you to come back. And I said, well, I'll come back in a minute. Let me let the people at work know that I'm coming back. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. And they announced the Pentagon. And
Well,
now
that's
we all freaked
it.
out
I
and tried
mean,
to call Nicole. We couldn't.
when the whole thing was happening, I mean, one incident, it's a terrible tragedy.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God, yeah.
2, I think everybody knew then that
Something was up.
something was wrong. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
when we heard about the Pentagon,
And I
A
think
couple failed attempts.
I feel like everybody forgets the Pentagon too when they talk about it. Like the first thing that comes up is always the towers.
Well, because, the
obviously.
visual is the tower.
Right.
That's the biggest visual, is the towers, right? Yeah.
How interesting though. I mean, that's our generation's like everybody remembers where you
Something,
were.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, this generation too has COVID, which is a
We-
global disaster.
But if you think about it, we've been a part of a lot of interesting things.
Yeah,
we
to
live
this
in
point.
we live in very interesting
you like to
lives.
joke
Been
around. You
through
keep
some
you
stuff.
keep joking around saying it's the end.
The
of
end
times.
days.
So, but I mean, if you think about all the things that we've seen in our time on this blue rock, it's been
It's
been quite a trip.
But I feel
mean,
like
between
I wonder if everybody
that,
feels that
between
way.
9/11. I mean, between Hurricane Sandy
Yeah.
that
Huge.
we went through. I mean,
on the East Coast, yeah.
and just so much more. It's been quite a
But
trip.
I always put it in perspective though, because if you go back to Great Depression, you go back to World War I, World War II.
Yeah, people went through stuff back then
When
too,
like
yeah.
and when like in Great Britain, where they had the rules where all lights, street lights, everything had to be out in case of bombings. Like when you go back, you're like, those people must have thought the same thing. Like, we're living in the end days. you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think
It's,
every generation thinks like, wow, these are crazy times.
There's always a moment where they say that.
But they didn't have Crocs.
No, they didn't have Crocs.
Yeah, to see them through.
There's always
To
something
see
to
them
smile
through.
at.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Steering the conversations back to happier topics. Because
Interesting.
we're
No, but to be
almost at
honest,
time.
right, the
Yeah.
way this started was a happier topic.
That's true.
Because Andrew mentioned how it brought the country into
Indeed.
unity.
Oh,
very
and I
true.
totally agree.
It did.
It brought
It did.
everyone together, and we could definitely use that now. I agree with you there
could.
too.
I think
It'd be great
I
if we
think
could.
that's one big thing that going what I've been through. It's just an experience, just like everyone's had different experiences. But I think one thing everyone should take away is you're gonna become what you focus on. If you don't look for the bright side in anything, you're not gonna find it. And so there's always a silver lining to something.
Absolutely.
The common cause, right? The common cause.
like,
Let it be a good one.
It's the Crocs that bind.
The Crocs.
Croc that bind us.
It always comes back to Crocs.
Oh,
So
Dave,
just
got a great
because
tie.
we are getting close to time here, so I want to end it on a note like this. So I want you to tell us the funniest story that you've experienced at our dojo, like the funniest story.
Or how about your funniest martial arts story? Period.
Yeah. So I wanted to attach it to our dojo because
Funniest.
I'm biased. But the funniest story.
Remember this one time this guy Steve came to work
dojo.
for me.
You mean
Oh my
It can involve me.
you mean our dojo as a whole,
Our
or your
dojo as a whole.
or your specific
no.
branch?
Our Paul Prendergast karate.
I don't know.
Okay.
Our
Well,
dojo as a whole.
The funniest one I can think. Well, man, that's hard to keep.
Funny
track of.
as students doing things, or funny as
Anything,
like
anything.
us?
No, but no,
Because when
Yeah.
we worked together,
Well, I mean, it has to
I
be
wonder if
kid-friendly.
you're thinking what I'm thinking of.
there's been a couple with you.
Good.
Which one are you thinking of?
One of the ones that always cracked me up is the time that for the Halloween party that Dave and I came dressed
yes.
as Master Paul and Miss Dawn.
Yep.
Yeah, you told me that story. Okay, tell the viewers.
So out of that equation, so knowing me and Dave,
Oh yeah.
I was not Master Paul. So there is evidence out there of me in a blonde wig. I actually painted my own fingernails and wore a leopard print top.
Yeah.
And no one would have appreciated it more than Dawn.
No, she was
I know.
there.
That's what I'm saying.
She was there.
That's what I'm
man.
saying. She loved
thought-
Halloween.
She was belly laughing. That was a great time.
Oh, yeah.
We've had some funny ones.
I have two favorite. Well, not two favorite, but my two that come to mind involving you would be when we first got the hand sanitizers at the old school, and Dawn couldn't figure out. Miss Dawn couldn't figure out how to
Heard
put
this story too.
put
It was
the
a brand
bag
new pump.
into the pump because it's one of those wall mounted
was- it was
pumps.
one of-
So she's playing with it and she smashes it, and the thing shoots into Andrew's eye, and he goes, "Oh!" and he drops and he's grabbing his eye.
Pure alcohol.
And
Straight.
Dawn if you knew Dawn,
she likes physical comedy.
She had a cackle. She could
She
laugh.
was laughing so hard, man. She couldn't breathe.
She
It was the
couldn't
funniest-
breathe, and he's going, "Ah!"
My eye was.
It was beat red. I thought she,
Self-defense tactic 101.
I thought
goes
she
to the eyes.
blinded him.
Yeah.
I thought he was blind, and she's just laughing as he's rolling. And
She knew he'd be
grabbing.
fine. She was cleaning your eyes.
That
too.
was terrible.
Okay, now tell the
What's
story
other
that you
one?
know that I'm thinking of. Come on now.
Are you talking about when he lit me on fire?
Yes, I'm talking about when he lit you on fire.
I missed that story. I heard the other ones. I haven't heard
You
that.
didn't
one.
know this one?
Hang on.
Let
Let
Andrew
me,
tell
all
his
right,
perspective
okay.
first.
I like it better where you
So-
lit him on fire. Just stay with that.
I'm kind of a notorious sicko. I like to play a lot of practical jokes, and I happened to go up to Master Dave with a lighter from the school and
For birthday parties, you used to light the candles. One of those clicker guys.
and went up to Master Dave and all of his hairy
I wasn't
Italian
pu-
gloriousness.
I wasn't paying attention. Master Paul teaching
sitting-
kickboxing,
He was sitting at the desk,
Oh, no.
and I was entering paperwork.
Let's hear the story, then you can elaborate.
and I took the wand clicker and I went over to Master Dave and I went, and was it your leg or your arm?
It was my arm,
It was your arm.
but I wasn't paying attention.
And he had no idea. I think he was typing something.
I had
and
no
his-
idea.
His arm was like a sock flare. It just went, and he screams like, "Ah!" To the point it was so
I
loud.
love
Master
it.
Paul actually stopped and looked over from cardio kickboxing. He's like, "What the heck are you guys doing?"
I love it.
And then what made it worse is then the entire front lobby just smelt like
Burnt hair.
Oh yeah.
So you've yet to tell me how you put him out.
It went out. It wasn't
went out
Yeah,
by
just
it
like
just
flash,
it
like a
literally
flash
just
pan,
went
like in a pan, a cooking pan.
up my arm.
Hang on a minute. Well, now
We want to find out. We want to see if it's still there, right?
you're gonna be so much more fun.
It went.
Right to the knuckles.
I come in with all of it shaved.
It went.
Try now.
We had some good times. You're also, I think, to date, the only person. Didn't you move Master Paul's car and hide it behind the school?
I did.
Well, we did that with,
did.
with,
Okay,
with
so
Steve
that-
too.
Vinatelli,
He did.
yeah.
He did that with
That
Vinatelli too.
that
but-
started.
I was there for that.
That started actually as a tradition because it was a practical joke from I think it was before you even got there, Dave. Where
before I
they
started
used-
teaching.
before you started teaching,
Yeah.
right? They used to do that to Dave Wilson.
Oh, we did
So
a
we
lot
had
to
another
him.
we had another instructor
He had a
named
good sense
Dave,
of humor.
and they used to.
His
take
reaction was
they,
good.
They used to take his. No, actually, did it start with Dave Wilson, or it started with Master Paul? But we would take Master Paul's car and we move it, and because Master Paul used to park in the back parking lot, and one day he came out, he's like, "Where's my car? I think somebody stole my car." So it was funny. It was funny doing it to Dave Wilson too. We actually moved his car around to the front parking lot. We park it a couple lights down and come on out and be like, "What'd you guys do with my car?" Yeah, it was funny.
I started prank calling your instructors now. Womeyer.
Dan?
Yeah, he answered the phone in the middle of class. So
It was
he had
you?
left. No, he answered the phone.
Oh, okay.
So I saw that he's at the desk. So I run outside, and Weber's helping me out. I'm like, let me know as soon as he's off. Weber gives me the signal, and I call right back so that Dan has to answer it because
He's standing right there.
Oh man, he was so simple. I was asking him questions, and he started to stutter because I asked him a lot of questions quickly, knowing he wouldn't be able to answer. And then
So
I'm
you do
like,
a
"Are
Master
you?"
Paul did to him at
I'm like,
the-
"Are you?"
yeah.
Are you nervous right now? Just answer the question. Like, I don't understand what's going on. Do you need to talk to Mr. Dave that's on the floor? Can you just pull him off? I'm just asking you real simple questions. I don't know what really is the issue
So
right
you
now.
befuddled him a bit?
Oh, a bit? Weber goes like one of these, like means like he's sweating right now. So
When did he find
and
out
I'm
that
like,
it was just you?
when I said, you can stop passing out right now. It's me. I'm outside, you goofball. And I walked in and I'm waving the phone and he's like, yes, it was.
Oh,
great.
you need to drive that
Then he,
kid to
then he was all
insanity.
moody
But
for the rest of the
now,
day.
Andrew, we may need to reintroduce this. That'll test if they watch the show or not. We're going to
Yeah,
reintroduce
I am.
I got to tell you though, for
Oh.
some reason, I know we're short on time, so
No,
I'll make this
no,
one
no,
quick.
no.
We could actually go as long as we
For some
want.
reason, the Tom's River School at night, especially during our MMA class, is a magnet
Oh, shoot.
for
That's
some
right.
very strange people.
We literally said, oh, man, we have so many good stories for the podcast now, and we haven't told any of them yet.
We've
See,
had.
the question now is, we want to save this for a part 2.
We'll have to say
Well,
this because
give us a teaser. Give us one teaser.
I'll give you.
Okay, let's do one.
Teaser.
Okay, so we had one guy. Should I start with the latest one?
Start
No,
with the latest
no,
one.
no.
Okay.
Start with the furthest one.
No. Because
Yeah.
No, I'll have to
the
work
latest
away.
one,
Okay.
yeah,
The first one's
other
gonna take some
two-
backstory.
Yeah, the other
Telling.
two are crazy.
We had a
Okay.
guy. It was the last week, right?
It was
we
actually,
had-
it was last Thursday.
We had a guy walk into the school like a live action Naruto character. I kid you not. He looked like Napoleon Dynamite dressed as a Naruto character for Halloween.
He walks in and he goes like this.
In his full seriousness.
I'm doing a peace sign, by the way, to the people that are just audio listeners.
He's walking up, giving peace
the
sign.
peace signs, big smile.
And like the entire class stopped. Like you could have heard a dime
Like it was a
drop.
blatant outfit.
No, he
Oh,
was
yeah.
he was legit. Like he was serious.
Bandana.
Oh boy.
Full kimono.
Yeah,
like,
he
kimono
must have
robe.
put up
had-
to it.
had-
He must have put
Yeah.
up
his
to it.
credentials and his stuff up his sleeve.
Oh, shit.
like
I should have checked if he was wearing Crocs. But anyways, continue.
He
the
must have
whole
been put
thing.
up to that.
Yeah.
bandana
Or
and
had a
was talking
mission
about
on.
how he was looking to continue his training in a formal style, and he was a I forget what he said he was. He was
Like
like
ninjutsu trained or something.
no, 3rd degree kung fu, reached a new level of enlightenment.
And I've also trained
And-
in Taekwondo.
And I've also trained in Taekwondo.
yeah.
I have to throw
But
that
I
in there.
swear to you, the guy looked like Napoleon Dynamite
Whenever somebody comes in
cosplay
like that.
for Naruto and was fully intent that he was like this kung fu monk.
What did he say about his master reaching enlightenment?
Did
or something
you-
like
His
that?
master had reached like the 3rd or 5th realm
So
of higher
Oh
enlightenment.
my
all
God.
I know is if you did not refer him to Brick, I'm disappointed right now.
No.
Okay.
We're not that evil, Nick.
First of all, he probably came into the Brit school and I said, "What you want is the MMA class."
You want to go over
And-
to Tom's
'cause
River
I
School?
do that.
Imagine if it came out that that's where all these people have been coming from.
I
Is that-
do
oh
I
my
do
God.
tend to, if they're like specifically mentioned, I'm like, oh, we have an MMA class in Tom's River. You want to check that out? I try and direct as many because I get enough weirdos, so I gotta direct them out.
No one's
So
come
what was
through
the
yet.
exit cue? Was it more just like, hey, we'll,
Okay,
we'll
so
help
that
you
makes
out?
it even better. Okay, so this guy comes in. He's apparently as serious as a heart attack, and he wants to train, and he wants to train. I go, we have a great class on Tuesday, Thursday, and why don't we have you come on in and take a free lesson? Me, pumped up. I gotta check my finances. Thank you so much for having me, and just left. just as quick
You didn't
as
want to
can.
check before you got here.
Like,
Oh, it's free though. You just try a free
it was a
lesson.
free
You know,
lesson.
no, but his other kimono has the money.
you know what?
This is the training
I left my
kimono.
wallet in my other kimono. Right.
I always
Come
laugh
on.
at that side. I try not to, but like
Did he try to summon his wallet that didn't work out? What did they do
I
on the
used to
show?
work at a movie theater as a kid,
Summon wallet.
and somebody came to pay for a ticket, and they literally had an old school medieval pouch that they kept their money in.
incredible.
I want one.
Unstrung it from their belt, opened it up,
Leather pouch. I love it.
took coins out. I was like,
Oh, I thought you were gonna tell me they had one of those old coin dispenser things.
no.
Oh, that would be great.
That'd be so
I'm talking
great.
like a Robin Hood
That'd be,
satchel,
Nice.
like a kind of bag. You see, I was like, what is happening?
You know, right
now
now, Dave's upset that he didn't have one.
Absolutely.
You
He was
want?
like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you want one.
I was like, that's the coolest guy ever.
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
He's
Oh, people, the fanny pack is already back.
say here we
No,
go.
It is.
people wear them
gotta
across
go.
It's
their
a
chest.
man.
With-
It's a
with Kickin
mantle.
Crocs on it now.
Oh.
They wear it across
It's
their.
the mantle.
They
It's
wear
a
it across their
man's
chest
mantle.
now.
Man.
We got to call Pharaoh's Tees. Be like, so.
So we need this logo.
on this fanny pack.
Ooh, a fanny
They
pack.
do
made
wear
out
them. They
of
do wear them across the
cross-light.
chest now, though.
Oh boy.
That's the style. They all
It'll
wear them
be
across the
waterproof.
chest.
No, yeah, they do. Yeah,
It's
that is-
very in now.
You keep saying if you say it over and over again, it'll be in.
No, it is very in. I don't do it because I don't like to have things on me. It's very in. You're younger generation. Your
They
generation's
are,
younger
yeah,
than you.
I see a lot of them wearing it.
It's the younger
And it
generation.
scares me. I'm like, the world could not have fallen this far. Did we fall this far? Like, oh.
We are wearing Crocs, so
Hey,
listen.
hey, hey,
It's very
hey.
different.
Back
true.
it up.
Very
These are
different.
nothing but comfort and luxury.
I know. But you remember comparing it to Idiocracy.
All right.
No.
Are you
All
watering
right.
your lawn with Gatorade yet?
All right.
Are
This
you-
conversation is over.
Anyways, so we've reached all the time we have for today, and so I do want to end it off on this. We do have a lot, of kids that do watch the podcast. Not all of them are, younger kids. Some are a little bit older kids. So, is there any advice that you would have for any of them that are looking to join the military? What advice? We did this with
Or
Joe
the
Pacone,
martial arts.
or the
Or the
martial
martial
arts too. So we did this with Joe Pacone for anyone that wants to be a doctor. We
doctor.
did this with Ian, who anyone wants to be a video editor.
So any advice I would give
Anybody that
in
wants to be a
regards-
military
Anyone
guy.
who wants to join the military.
The military is there's a lot of great things to come out of your service in the military. It has to be something. The biggest advice I would give you is make sure it is something that you really want to do. It's not a decision to be made lightly because it's just like in your martial arts training, you're making a commitment to something, and you're making a commitment to something that's bigger than yourself. There's a lot of really great things. There's a lot of really great opportunities. It can give you a great future, money towards college. It's definitely something I'm an advocate for. But there's whether you want to join, the Army or the Marines or the Coast Guard or the Air Force or the Navy, there's so many different things you can do. And even if you do decide that you want to do it, you don't even necessarily have to do it full time. You can join something like the National Guard or the Reserves and do it part time. But do your research. It's definitely something that you're going to want to do. Ask questions. I've had more than one of our previous students or old students. They've come to me asking me questions about that they were considering it. If you know someone that served in something that you're thinking about doing, sit down and have a conversation with them. Don't ever just kind of fly off the handle and just do it. Take it seriously because it might be something you want to do for now, or it might be something you want to even turn into a career. Do your research, kind of look into it, and ask questions and kind of decide where you want to go from there. So that'd be the best advice I would give you. But it's definitely one of the things I take the greatest pride in, and I would definitely do it again in a hot minute. But if any of our students are out there, if that's ever a future that you're looking for, if you have questions, you're always welcome to come ask me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you that we definitely take a lot of pride in being able to say that one of our coworkers is a vet.
This is
So,
true.
yeah,
Two of
two
our
of them. That's true.
coworkers.
We mentioned that with
We mentioned it when he was on the cast too.
Mm-hmm,
Yes.
Definitely. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. This was a great
Thank you, guys. Thank you
conversation.
for having me.
Yeah, I think we had a great time. And now, Dave, you may say the.
What's that? What am I saying?
Oh, you forgot.
You want me to say I love you from the bottom of my Crocs?
No, the other one.
Putting it in.
We're putting this into comfort mode.
There you go. Can't believe you forgot, man.
We're putting this podcast into comfort mode.
Anyways, yeah, there we go. There it is. Jeez, man. I tried to softball pitch it to him.
I helped
Yeah,
you.
well, I mean,
Yeah,
normally
I'll
he
tell
just
a little bit.
normally he just starts like, hey, and you can follow us on
Anyway, so
MSCKUI.
with that
you
being
go.
said,
That's the
if you have not
closer
already,
line.
you can follow us on
Right.
Instagram and on TikTok at Kickin in Crocs, KICKIN dot in dot Crocs,
CROCS.
Oh God, what have we become?
It's become a thing.
No
What have
trademark.
we become? Subscribe to us on YouTube so you can watch the video versions of this podcast if you haven't already. And Nick, what should they give us if they're listening on audio?
5-star reviews, please. If you're listening on audio and you have a moment, not while you're driving, but as soon as you park,
while you're driving.
pull over, give us that 5-star review. We appreciate it.
Yeah, that's all we got for tonight. I've been Steve.
Always Dave.
Still Nick.
And Andrew.
And Andrew. And you stay kicking, internet.
Shibuda.
There it is.